of you for making time out of your day to do this. I really appreciate it. And
glad to be here. Only one thing worse than one tenor singer. That's two. So
yeah. Well, I got the low part for you, so don't worry about it. I got that covered.
Well, first thing I want to ask each of you is how you've been spending the lockdown, the quarantine time. I know everything's getting ready to open back up in Tennessee, but what have you been doing since everybody's been on lockdown?
Go ahead, Jeannie.
Well, first of all, I started cleaning house, as I think most of the women did. And I've told somebody the other day, my house is cleaner than it's been since the flood 10 years ago when it cleaned everything out and took all the dust bunnies out of my closet and everything else with it. But I've really enjoyed being home and getting caught up on some things that when I was working and so busy, I didn't have time to do. So I'm actually enjoying it a lot, maybe too much.
Well, I got a lot of honey-do lists that I had to do, so I started doing them. And I got to doing them so much that Nina started me a honey-don't list. So I've got now I'm doing the honey-don't stuff because, you know, I messed up the honey-do so much. But we've actually, I mean, done very well. She has not killed me yet, and it's very surprising. But we've done very well together, and her mother's here with us too as well. So
that's great.
Right from the start. So we've been eating here all the time. They've been cooking. I'm telling you, I got two of the best cooks anybody could imagine. I mean, I have gained some weight pretty much because I'm eating good old home cooking. I miss some of that restaurant cooking. Do y'all miss some of that too?
Yes, me big time. I don't have anybody cooking for me, although Gene's gotten really good at boiling eggs, and he makes a great egg salad and beautiful deviled eggs.
Well, I've been doing Jimmy Jams every day, pretty much. You know, except for when Harold passed away, I took off a few days for that. But other than that, we've been that's what we've been doing, trying to stay in touch with people, let them know we're doing okay, and everything.
Yeah. What about you, Jamie? What you been up to?
I spent the first month and a half at my place in Gainesboro, and I did a lot of kayaking, a lot of four-wheeler riding, and worked around on my place. Came back to Nashville, hosted the Opry with Ricky Skaggs and Dailey Vincent, and then been home ever since then. And I'm like Jeannie, I've cleaned everything in my house, even the baseboards, downstairs, upstairs. I cleaned every appliance. I mean, gave it a great cleaning. And yesterday, I did my garage and organized and loaded a whole vehicle full of stuff to go to Goodwill and the dump. And just, I'm like Jeannie, it's the cleanest my house has ever been. So I've been doing that, and been writing a little bit and catching up on some Netflix and movies.
Cool. Seen anything you would recommend to anybody?
Not really.
If I could jump in, I do want to compliment Jamie. Y'all did an absolutely marvelous job on the Opry show you did with Ricky and all that. That just felt like the Opry again. Thank you.
How very kind and sweet of you, coming from you. Is you may know this, Deborah. I know you do. A lot of people may not. Miss Seely there inducted Darren and I into the Opry along with Oak Grove Medicine Show. So she plays a big part in the Dailey and Vincent history, and she was the first one to ever introduce us on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry too, our first time playing it.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is, it's kind of like your Grand Ole Opry godmother, you know?
That's right.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know about the rest of the guys, but I am so homesick for the Opry. I am. The Opry's been a way of life for me, and that group of people that's my extended family too. So yeah, I'm a little homesick for them.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask each of you how you feel about how the Opry has continued on. You know, fewer people, but you know they've been able to be out on the radio, you know, every Saturday night, which I think that's wonderful. People need the Opry during this time.
Well, it does bring, keeps the music business kind of alive, and lets people know that, the Opry and the people that are Opry members care about them, that they care about getting the music to them and keeping the music alive. And what would it be like not to go a few weeks without the Opry? It would not be good. I can tell you that. People need that support, and music is a great healer. And nobody can do it better than the Opry and the members of the Opry. That's for sure.
But it just must seem so bare doing it stripped down like this. Because Jeannie, you're usually back there keeping everybody entertained and holding court on the stage.
I can speak on that.
I can't imagine you not being there.
Well, go ahead, Jamie.
Oh, I can speak on that. I have seen it firsthand. She has pulled every stunt she knows to pull on some of us. And I was asked one time, Jamie, we may ask you for an Opry statement, an official Opry statement. And what would it be? And I said, well, mine would be if I'm ever standing on stage and get heckled from the audience, I want Seely standing next to me. That would be my...
Well, talk about the Opry continuing. When I first heard that everything was going to be closed, I sent an email to Scott Bailey, our president, immediately and said, please tell me you will allow us to continue the broadcast because I don't want us to break that historic record in our era. And, we can, when somebody said, well, you can't do a show without an audience, and I said, we're not doing it without an audience. We've got an audience all over the world. And when I walk on that Opry stage, I'm not just entertaining the people in the building. I'm entertaining everybody who's listening or watching wherever they are. I'm aware of them every time. And I just did not want that record broken, that circle and that broadcast. And I'm so appreciative that they did work with this.
As we look around the city, we've seen all these signs, Nashville Strong, and this community has a real history of pulling together. From the flood 10 years ago to the tornadoes that hit March 3rd to the pandemic. So I wanted to talk to each of you a little bit about how you feel about the Nashville community and how you see people pulling together during adversity.
Well, I'll tell you what, you really see the true Nashville people. Like I said, we really see what they're really made of. You see the love that they have for one another. And even during this time, like our church, I go to First Baptist Hendersonville, and our church does so much for not just Nashville, but they do all over the world. But in this particular thing that we're going through right now, I know my mother-in-law, she makes masks for people through the church, and she's made hundreds of them, and a lot of women at church are making those and trying to help people out through this epidemic and everything. But also through the tornadoes, they have a program where there's so many people come to the church, and they turn into things that they're good at. So like if you're using a chainsaw, or you can help someone, go to someone, take some food to them and help them out like that, or just help them rebuild their homes. They have programs like that everybody's involved in the church, and you don't go in without training. They make sure you're trained and able to go out there, because when something like this happens, the first thing we do is people, we want to help. We want to do something. And sometimes you go into a certain situation and you might be in the way. You're just standing there going, okay, what do I do? But the churches like First Baptist Hendersonville and a lot of the other churches all over all over the state are helping that way, and it's organized, and it just lets you know that, man, somebody's got your back, and not just somebody just coming to say, okay, what can I do? They actually know what to do when they get there. So it's pretty well organized, and I got to hand it to the people of Tennessee and the people of Nashville. Really, really have done a great job, and my heart and my soul goes out to you, because I do what I do, and I sing for a living, and I try to do the things that I can do. But there are things that I can't do, and you feel kind of helpless sometimes. But I know one thing: my church, through what they do a great job. They really do.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, each of you, how has your faith helped you during this difficult time? You know, with I think it's up to like 60,000 people have died from COVID-19 at this point. You know, how do you, the world is so scary and unsettling. How has your faith bring you peace and comfort?
Well, Jimmy mentioned, you know, his church, and we're very proud. We go to a small church here just up Pennington Bend, the Pennington Bend Methodist Church, and Hubert Cunningham is our minister there, and he is very hands-on at everything. He's going through a rough time now because it is just not, it's just so alien to him not to be able to go to the rehab facilities, the hospitals, go to the homebound. It's just really a struggle for him. Mm-hmm. But we are going to do a drive-through communion this Sunday, which I was so delighted to hear we're going to do that. And they figured out a way to do that where they're all pre-packaged things they will hand through the window. So,
will you get a cheeseburger with that?
Fries. You get fries with that. By the way, real quick, I'm changing the subject, but I got to tell you, this is my first ever Zoom meeting. But I've learned something today. I've got pretty much a plain background, but I noticed that Jimmy Fortune, this ain't his first rodeo because he's showing all of his awards and everything.
Well, that ain't all of them. I got some more over
Look
here.
At that. Yeah. So, shameless promotion.
Shameless.
Okay, Jamie, I'm done.
Oh, no, you can see my background. I have no awards. That's the difference between a great tenor singer and a bad tenor singer. The tenor singer has all those awards.
Right.
Yeah, but look at that valley.
Oh, it's beautiful, man. Now you talk about an award right there behind you, the Cumberland River. I've been there many times. He's got a view of the Cumberland River like a horseshoe. It goes right around out there in front of him, and he sits up on a hill up there. You talking about an award? That's quite an award as far as I'm concerned. You own about, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of acres up there, and he's got there just he's got paradise up there, you know. And,
well, I've invited Seely, but she keeps turning me down to come up there. But Deborah, maybe you can kidnap her and put her in the car, and you guys come up for a picnic.
Well, I would love to do that too. Deborah, we will take him up. In the meantime, I've got my own 100-footer river frontage, Cumberland. I got my little section of the Cumberland too. We have a little cottage. I don't have the acreage, Jimmy, that he does, but I got 100-footer river frontage here. So we'll, beautiful. And I said, we got to have some meetings on this new deck. That's the other thing I've been able to finish up while we're home, as I remodeled my back deck. And I said, we got to schedule some meetings on the deck. We're not scheduling parties because meetings are deductible.
Great idea. That's a great idea.
You know, Deborah, you're talking about what we've done at home, you know, faith-based things that we've done. I've said all along, I said, God is trying to tell us something through all this. And families are actually, some good things have really come out of it, because I see a lot of families are together and sitting at the table and actually eating together and talking to each other, which is really, really, really good, you know. Yep. And I said, this has given us time to, as a person, I know you have time to actually stop for a minute and look at yourself in the mirror and go, am I the person that I really need to be? Am I the person? And examine yourself and spend time with yourself and figure out whether you can. A lot of times we run from ourselves. We don't even want to sit still for one moment because we're afraid of what we might see. But through this all, you know, I've got to spend time even with myself, and that's been pretty cool, because I've actually kind of gotten to talk to God and on a little more, and actually listen to what He has to say through reading the Bible. And through praying for our country and praying for our people that have been sick and people that have died during this, and just really concentrate on that. And I feel like it's brought a lot of us a lot closer to God.
Great.
Oh, I agree.
I'd like to add to that too. I mean, for me, it's put a lot of things in perspective for me. And I've had time to think through a lot of things, and the silliness of a lot of things that have gone on either in the music industry or different areas of one's life. And you realize what's really important, what's silly, what's kind of elementary. And you know, I think it's going to help me try to be a better person, and also try to take, you know, try to stay above a lot of the craziness and the elementary things that happen. And we all know, being in music business, how those things work. And so it's helped me a lot. And I feel more comfortable now in my life through this than I have ever. And I'm just not really worried about anything. I know God's got this. God's got me. He's got you guys. I'm just not that worried about it. And I'm not going to rely on politicians, and I'm not relying on Washington, D.C. I'm relying on the Lord. And you cannot fail if you rely on the Lord. You just can't fail.
Yeah.
Well, I will say one thing, Jamie. If you keep singing them high notes, they're going to kill you. You got to stop that.
Hey, tell Seely what you said you were going to do if I'm lying in my casket. You're going to walk in and tell her what you're going to say.
I'm gonna walk up to his casket, and I'm gonna say, "I told you, them high notes is gonna kill you, son."
What are you gonna say when you walk up to mine? That line's gonna work for me. Wasn't the high notes that got me?
I know what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna walk up and say, "Seely, I hope you're wearing them false eyelashes you wore that night when you inducted me."
Oh, and I'll have them on. You can bet that. You know, talking about that though, and this forced shutdown that we've been given, somebody asked me, said, "How do you feel about it? It just seems like the world has just stopped and stood still." And I said, all that comes to my mind is that said, "Be still and know that I am."
Yep.
Look around, that's exactly all that comes to my mind. I believe that's what he's telling us.
I think so too. And I agree with Jimmy. It's been wonderful to have more time with God and family. Like, I've been married almost 35 years, y'all, and I have never been able to cook. I am whipping up quiche. I am doing banana bread. I am doing Mississippi pie. I mean, my husband's stunned. He's like, but I have my husband's son, other than Zoom interviews and meetings like this, the only sweet faces I've seen in person are my husband and son. And I've been so peaceful and content. It's been a scary time when you look at things in the world, but it's been a very sweet time with family. It's been a blessing.
Yes.
You know, they're talking about.
I've got to go ahead, Jimmy.
They talk about social distancing being so hard. But you know, Nina and I have been practicing social distancing for about 10 years now. So it's no problem at all. We've not had any problem with that at all.
Not buying that.
One of my girlfriends, though, said she's having trouble because her buttons are now wanting to start social distancing.
That's a good one.
But, you know, we've got a lot to look forward to next January, y'all. You know,
I just got a bad look from my wife. Looked through the door right over here, but she heard me say that. So
you're gonna know social distancing now.
You know, we've got a lot of fun to look forward to. Jimmy and Jeannie, you are going to be on the cruise next January. And Jamie, you and Darren have some of my favorite memories of being on the country music cruise are sitting there at concerts with you and Darren. I'll never forget sitting there watching the Oak Ridge Boys with y'all, and y'all were just going nuts like teenagers. Oh, y'all.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, my stand fell over.
You throw a main right there, Deborah.
Hard to tell what that view looked like. Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm sure looking forward to that cruise too, and I'm just hoping. I understand that Mo Bandy whipped Johnny Lee at Family Feud last year, wasn't it?
He did.
So I don't know how it works. I just hope I have one more chance at him.
I want to be there to
One
referee
more
that.
chance, yeah.
Jeannie, one of the things I thought was so beautiful was last time you were on the vow renewal ceremony. Talk about you and Jean and all the wonderful couples on the ship renewing your vows. I just thought that was a magic moment.
Well, it was very, very special to us. And I thought that because we missed the cruise the year before because Jean was so sick and had so many wonderful people praying for us during that time, that I thought that would be a good opportunity for two things. To assure Gene Ward that I would marry him all over again, and also for all the fans who had prayed so much to see him standing up there looking so good in his tuxedo.
Mm-hmm.
But to tell you, when that came in and this things we could choose to do, I told Jean, I said, well, they have on here that we could renew our vows again. And I said, so I marked that. I said, so if they ask us to do it, would you be willing to do that? And you know, he's a lawyer. So he's, well, let's see, that's international waters and that's maritime law. So yeah, I guess I don't think it would be legal. And I married him again anyway. Am I crazy or what? But I said, I'm glad we did that 2 years ago, because after 2 months in quarantine, I don't think that's going to happen this year. Who was that face I just saw? Look there.
It's Darren.
Hey, Darren.
Me and Taylor are in here, yeah. I just left Jamie's house.
Hey.
Good to see you all.
Yeah. Right before my phone just took a tumble, but I was just saying to Jamie and Jeannie and Jimmy that one of my favorite memories on the cruise in all these years is sitting at the Oak Ridge Boys concert with you and Jamie. Darren, that was so much fun. Y'all were just jumping up and down like teenagers. I love seeing artists enjoying each other's performances. So I wanted to ask you and Jamie about the shows that you've seen on the ship and how, what a treat it is to see other artists.
Oh, I love it. It's a lot of fun, and getting to hang around our friends is the best part. But I can't think. The guy used to be at BR549.
Chuck Mead.
Chuck Mead. My gosh, yes. I loved watching his show. It was a lot of fun. It's in the one at shoot, I can't think of anybody's name. I've been off so much now. All I can think about is kids and wife. But dang it.
Wade Hayes.
He's great too. Oh, Johnny Lee. Oh my Lord, Johnny Lee kills me. And of course, the coach Barry Switzer. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
just a lot of great things. Just being able to hang out with them. Of course, Jeannie Seely and everybody. It's just so great.
Mm-hmm. Jimmy, what are some of your favorite cruise memories?
Oh Lord, from the time I get on it, I'm on cloud nine. You could go over 200 yards and put the anchor down. I'm happy. It don't even have to go anywhere. I mean, I'm on there with some of my favorite people, like these guys here and Jeannie and everybody who's on the cruise, and you get to talk to them and you actually get to know them a little bit better, and you actually hear them sometimes going out of their element a little bit. They might do something totally different than what you hear them do, whether it's on the Opry or whether it's on the records or whatever. They all at times do something a little bit different, get together and jam a little bit and just have a good time and really get to know each other a lot better. So I love every aspect of it, from the food and you all doing the interviews and things like that. And just how everybody, it's always something going on, always something that, if you want to see, if you've seen this one person, then you can actually go see someone else that you want to see the next day, and you can go see different people all the time. It's just, I love it because there's no lull. It's you want to see someone sing and enjoy an entertainer, you can do it on that cruise at any time. Yep.
Another one of my favorite moments was when I was doing, and Jimmy, you've been so kind to do the Country Faith seminar with me, and Jamie and Darren did. And Darren got talking about when his children got saved. Darren started crying. I started crying. There wasn't a dry eye in the audience. Remember that, Darren? That was such a precious moment.
Yeah, now that I had time to stop driving and think about that, yeah, I remember that. It was great. T. Graham Brown, I think, was there, and he and I both shared our testimonies. We got really back to childhood, a lot of different things that nobody's ever heard before. They got to hear for the first time on the cruise, and I haven't talked about it since, but it was very special to talk about all that. And Jamie, I don't know if he talked about being backstage with the Oak Ridge Boys and Charlie Pride. We were sitting back there. And Charlie got to talking about his whole career starting out. You remember that, Jamie?
I do. It was absolutely amazing. We were like little kids in a candy store.
His start to his career is absolutely stunning, and got to hear it firsthand. I mean, the Oak Ridge Boys and us were like little kids at a candy store listening to Charlie. It was just absolutely incredible, and there's no place else you could have gotten that experience except on that cruise.
I mean, we were probably back there a couple of hours. I mean, he talked the whole time, and we were so just mesmerized by it. Darren was over there braiding William Lee's beard while we were listening. It was really fun.
Lord have mercy.
Come on, Seely. Give me a point for that one. Come on, Seely.
I'll give you a point. I just wanted to throw in there, and you'll use this against me somehow because of my age, but I just wanted to mention, talking about Charlie Pride, I was very privileged to be on the very first tour that Charlie did with Wilson and a bunch.
You've seen it firsthand.
I did.
Wow.
I saw. It was amazing to watch him walk out there. The crowd did not know what to expect, and to watch the immediate acceptance of him, and just, his voice is just so mesmerizing anyway. I love to hear him talk, and then when he sings, it's all over. But yeah, that was a different time, and there were some really uncomfortable situations that I'm sorry we're past all of that now. But yeah, that was a really great experience to be there.
Well, he talked about, and I don't know if I can say this or not, but I'm going to. He talked about when he came to town. He said, if you can get past fair and young, then you can be accepted in this town. And he said, okay, let's go. He said, let's go get fair and young, or let's go meet him and get to him. You remember that, Jamie?
Yeah.
And he went right up to him. You've probably seen it. And he said, let's get it out of the way. I next time we're at the Opry, I want to hear more about that, Jeannie. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, y'all, let's just go on over to Jeannie's house. We'll be over in about an hour.
It's okay with me. Come on.
Deborah, another one of my favorite memories on the cruise was when we do the Bluegrass Jam, and Joe Diffie came to the Bluegrass Jam every time we did it, and he would get in there and sing, and just seeing how much he sat there and loved every minute of it and sang. And I cherished that moment. I mean, he literally was into it, buddy. I mean, he was singing, and he was, sitting back. If he wasn't singing, he was tapping his foot and clapping his hands. And that memory of him sitting there just enjoying that. And he was just such a wonderful person. I miss him so much, but I will cherish that memory forever. What a talent Joe Diffie was, and just a good person. And he was always cheerleading for somebody. He was always in your corner saying, hey, pulling for you and everything like that. But I enjoyed that time I got to spend with him. I will treasure it forever.
Oh, he was a great guy.
Another fun thing I think on the cruise is when everybody's through with their shows and everything they're hired to do is to go to that dueling piano bar and be able to just see somebody. Jimmy was talking about people doing something out of their element on the cruise, and you get up there and you sing songs that you didn't think about singing any other time.
Right.
Tim Atwood and Chrissy, they do a great job, can play anything.
They can play any song there is. It's amazing.
It is. I'm glad you brought that up, Jeannie, because that's so much fun. That everybody, like at the end of the night, I remember on this last cruise seeing Tracy Lawrence get up and was singing Joe Diffie songs. It was so much fun.
Wow.
The other thing I enjoyed about the cruise was when the buffet opened, pushing Seely and Jimmy Fortune out of the way so I could get to it first.
And another thing I like when they were doing the karaoke night, Jamie would always do girl songs.
Yeah, I like that part too. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew Seely would have something to say about that. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
I used to say at karaoke, the only things I could sing were Vince Gill tracks. They played Jamie Dailey and It's Too High.
Hey, did you know that Seely's going to sing bass for us in some of our quartet songs?
Yeah, yeah, I am. You're joking, but I'm not. Know what it takes to do that. So.
Oh, my lands. That's funny.
I hope that the people watching this wherever will think about joining us on that cruise, because it is just going to be, it's always fun, but I think there's going to be really something special this year because we are going to all finally be able to get back together again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we look
It's going to be a lot to celebrate. Mm-hmm.
I tell you, it's going to make me appreciate everything, every aspect of this business that I do. I will appreciate it a lot more from now on. Yes. I promise you that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think everybody.
I will even appreciate Seely picking on me backstage at the Opry even more.
I'm so glad to know that you're going to appreciate it because I definitely plan on doing it.
Yeah, before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you about what you've been working on, here lately. And Jamie, oh my goodness, the album you did with your dad. Tell the viewers about that. That is Step Back in Time is something special.
Sure
well,
is.
I'm very, very, very thankful to get to do that record. Darren Vincent played bass. I played guitar. Bobby Lee Mummert played snare drum, and we had Patrick McAvenue on fiddle and Tristan Scroggins on mandolin. And Darren sang baritone on some of the songs, and Jimmy sang tenor on an a cappella song with my dad. My dad's got Parkinson's disease, and I wanted to get him in the studio and record a record on him before he got to where he couldn't. And he didn't want to do it. Finally talked him into it. He did it, and I'm proud to report as of yesterday, the record is #1 best-selling bluegrass CD on Amazon, and he's also entered in. His single entered in #15 on the charts, and it doesn't release till May 8th. So we're excited. He's done such a good job.
Great.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
Proud of him, man. Proud of him.
Man.
Appreciate
I
you
was
all
so
being
proud.
Proud of you for doing it, Jamie. Proud of you for helping your dad. That's an awesome, awesome thing that you could do for him. It really was.
It's wonderful.
It's kind of like what Buddy Cannon does with his mother when she plays the harmonica. Is that not wonderful?
Oh,
it's great. It's great. I love it.
It's so cool. And Jeannie, you're going to be with the boys in September when they've got that big festival in Georgia.
Yes, I am. Oh, I'm looking forward to that too. And by the way, I wanted to say for the first time ever in this long career I've had a song in the bluegrass charts. With
all right.
And
#1.
I could, yes. And
#1, yeah.
It's real about that. Yeah.
Tell people how that came to be.
Well, it was so crazy because I had never set a writer appointment like all the writers do today. And I was intimidated about doing that. I thought, how do you make an appointment for 2 months from now? You don't have a thought that makes any sense, But Aaron Enderlin and Bobby Tomber both kept saying, you can't be intimidated around us. So just please do it. So when I had this idea, I called them and they both liked the idea. So I said, well, then I'm going to be brave enough to set this appointment. If my brain just totally fizzles out on me, at least I'll know I had the idea. So, and we did, and it was like 6 weeks out, and it came together in no time. And I was in the back of Gus Arundale's limousine with Rhonda Vincent. I was just telling her my whole saga about how proud I was that I finally did a writer appointment. And she said, well, could I hear it? So I played it to her on my phone, and she said, I think it needs to be on my next session. So, so thrilled, you know, that just all, you know, so I'm all into, I want some more songs now.
Well, that was easy. Have a number one.
Well, Aaron and Bobby are pretty fail-proof, you know, they're so great, such great writers.
They are.
And Rhonda's arrangement and vocal was just out of on it. So
yeah, our cruisers are familiar with Erin because she's done the songwriter nights like on I think 2 or 3 cruises now. She's amazing. You know,
I think she's going to be back, isn't she? Is she on this one, or do we know yet?
I don't know yet. I hope so because she's been amazing.
Yeah, of course, I'm excited this year too because I'll be premiering some of my new album, which is scheduled for release on Curb Records in August this year. I'm excited about that.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that, Jeannie. Oh my goodness.
And they've promised me a digital single release just as soon as they can get it out. It's a song that Dallas Wayne wrote called There's Not a Dry Eye in the House. And I recorded it as a duet with Willie Nelson.
Oh my God.
Excited.
Can't wait
That's
to hear
awesome,
it.
Jeannie.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, I got to get you to tell everybody about that new album with Ben and Bradley and Mike. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Well, it's Brotherly Love. That's what it's called. And I tell you what, we had a lot of fun doing it, a lot of fun getting together. And it's just everything from Hank Williams to Vince Gill to, gosh, what else is on there? The Eagles. And it's gospel. It's every genre of music. And so it was a lot of fun. So it'll be on the Gaither label. And it'll be, of course, you know, Cracker Barrel and all the major markets out there. But Bradley Walker, man, what can you say about Bradley Walker? My gosh.
Yeah.
What a great guy, great person, and what a voice. I mean, you know, he sang I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. And that's probably my favorite song on the whole thing. And I'm not even singing on it. So that's my favorite song on there, and I'm not singing on it. So that explains to you how this thing is. And it's so good. I mean, really, I mean, when you hear him sing it and how he did it and the arrangement and everything on it. But it's, of course, Ben Isaacs does a great job. I couldn't believe he wanted to sing with some 3 old hairy-legged old boys like us after he's got all them pretty girls singing with him all the time. But you know, Bill Gaither came to us and asked us about doing it, you know, a few years ago now. And he was pretty persistent with it. So finally we gave in and said, hey, okay, we'll do it. And we're glad we did because it really came off good. So.
Yeah, Mike Rogers does Man of Constant Sorrow. Great job on that, doesn't he? You know?
He is a man of constant sorrow. So why can't you sing that song? I mean, you know. No, what a talented man he is. He plays drums, he plays piano, he plays guitar, he plays bass, he plays everything. And, you know, his harmonies are great. And then, like I said, what was that song? I'm trying to think of the song. Love Bug.
Love Bug.
He sang that, and I'll tell you what a great job he did on that. I mean, and the arrangement was pretty cool too. It's kind of a swing, Texas swing kind of feel to it too, you know. And so everything's kind of got a little bit of a different feel to it. But we were asked, you know, about touring and things like that. Well, with all of our careers, there's probably no way we could ever tour the whole project, but it is offered in Cracker Barrel and all the major markets out there, and to see, hopefully it'll do great for all the rest of the guys and myself too.
And y'all recorded a video out at Roy Feek's farm. My husband Gary and I went out there for that. That was a special night, you know. That was
live
cool.
DVD. Roy Feek was so sweet. I mean, what a great guy. I mean, he's great at everything he does, but when he hosts a thing and he actually talked to us and everything, one-on-one personal level with each of us and about our lives and things like that. It was pretty special. And of course, Bill, Bill, having him there was great too. And then everybody else who was there that night, I mean, it was pretty nerve-wracking for me to get up and sing in front of everybody, because live like that, it's just a little tough to try to pull that stuff off live, Some of it was pretty challenging, especially, if you're trying to do a Vince Gill song, like Go Rest High on That Mountain after Vince Gill's done it, I don't even want to try it. I don't even want to attempt it. But we did it because
you
it was
did great.
Well, thank you very much. But it was fun, and I think a lot of love and heart and soul went into it, and I think people will enjoy it. But again, it's not a name for a group or anything. We just have our own names on it, and it's called Brotherly Love, which is just a bunch of guys getting together because they love the music and they love each other, the love for each other and everything, and that's why we did the CD and DVD.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, y'all, I wanted to ask you if you didn't mind to share some memories of Harold. His passing's really just torn everybody up. He was such a great guy.
Well, Harold Reed was one of a kind. I don't know how else to say it, but when you saw the Statler brothers, when you saw the Statler brothers, you focused on Harold because of his antics and the things that he did. He was so funny. He was literally one of the funniest men I've ever known in my life. Not just on stage, but off stage, off the cuff. He was brilliant. And so he was that way. He lived his life exactly the way he wanted to live it, from the time he was born till the time till his last days. His wife and his daughters told me, they said right up till the time he died, the day he died, he was on hospice, and he said he'd wake up every once in a while and look around and go, "You mean I'm still here?" He said,
Oh my God.
he said, "I thought I'd be gone by now." Then he go right back off to sleep, And I said, "My gosh!" And
That's
so,
awesome.
and that's the way he lived his life, though, man. He was big. He was bigger than life. He literally was bigger than life. And I'm gonna miss him, man. And it's funny or weird that when you're in something, and we were in it for so many years, we're doing what we did, and for some reason, when you're inside of something like that, you tend to forget how special it is. And until you're on the outside of it. So I've been on the outside of it now for 18 years since they retired. And with every day that passes, I see how special, how much more special it was. And then when he passed away, I walked around in my front yard just staring up at the sky, saying, "I can't believe you're not here." And I still can't believe it. But what a life and what a treasure. He died with his children and his wife around him and there with him. And I guess you couldn't, like he said, and what his wife said, we couldn't ask for a better life. And Harold was one of a kind, buddy. I'm gonna tell you what, and great at what he did.
Mm-hmm. It's so true.
Harold, for me, was a childhood hero. And the two songs that made me fall in love with country music and that has made me do what I do on stage and the style that I sing and play is because of Harold and Don, Phil, Jimmy, and Luke. And I'll go to my grave loving you and Elizabeth. Those were the songs that just changed my life, turned me around. And with, like Jimmy says, watching Harold as a kid, I could not wait to see what he was going to do on stage. And on TV, Harold's big book of stuff that he'd bring out on TV and the funny things he would do. But now, a couple of funny memories that Darren and I have. We got to sing for the Statler Brothers induction into the Country Music Hall of Fame. And we were standing, I think we were leaving the Hilton Hotel, walking over together to the Hall of Fame, or walking back to the Hilton, I can't remember, but Harold took 3 fingers and put on the back of Darren's bald head. He looks over and he says, "It looks like a bowling ball to me." And we just laughed, And then years later, we did the Statler Brothers tribute CD and sent it to Stanton to all the Statlers to listen to. And we still have this voicemail recorded, and Darren's going to send it to all of us. But I'll never forget, Harold called and said, boys, this is Harold Reed. I really like the tribute CD you did us. It was done so well. He said, but the unfortunate part of it is you've made our music serious, so we've got to come out of retirement and make it funny again. You know. So he was just a classic. You never knew. You know, I love people that has a sense of humor and some wit and some bite to them, and that's fun to be around, and somebody that you could kid around with and them not get mad at you. They could dish it and take it. And Harold was great at that with us. And he was a gentleman. When we stood in the Hall of Fame and we signed autographs on those tribute CDs, all four of the Statlers stood there and they signed with us. And that really meant a lot to us. It was just such a classic move. Very classic.
Well, that tribute CD was probably one of the best tribute CDs to anybody I've ever heard.
I agree.
I mean, the fact that you really see what the Statler Brothers mean to Darren and Jamie. And I know it meant a lot to Harold. It meant it so much to each and every one of us. The only bad thing is they did it better than we did it.
No.
Jamie sung higher than I did.
Oh, no.
I mean,
takes a real man to sing like a woman, Jimmy, I tell you.
Hey, Jamie, I cried. I cried for weeks, so I can't hit them notes like that.
Seely, I know Seely's dying to say something.
I need a tissue right now.
I'm sitting here laughing at Darren. He's just absolutely having more fun than anybody right now.
He has the best laugh. I need to hear that.
Best,
I love the best laugh.
I did not have the experience like Jimmy did, certainly, but there again, my early years of when we did the big package shows that, oh dear, I miss those so much. They were so fun back in the years when Jack Green and I were traveling together, and we'd be on a lot of those shows and the Statler Brothers were on. Those were the days when everybody's buses would pull up and you couldn't wait for the bus driver to get the brakes locked down. We hit off those buses and ran over to each other's buses and hugs. And I remember that Harold was always, you know, he when you came in the room or on the bus, wherever, Harold took the conversation right then. I mean, he was the first one in. And like you say, he was always so funny. You just, you know how much I appreciate humor. I look for that first, you know. And so I loved him. I love being around him. And unfortunately, like I said, other than those early years, I didn't get to be around him that much because our careers went different directions then. But
you know,
he's truly a legend.
When Harold released the old Road Hog on you,
yes.
Let me tell you something. Elvis Presley could be sitting in the room with Johnny Cash, and even Trump could walk in and everybody want to talk to Road Hog.
Yes.
You know, I got a story on that too. We were cutting a song on one of our bluegrass CDs, and Darren and I wanted the Road Hog to come in and do a talking piece on it. But everybody told us that Road Hog don't make appearances anymore. Harold don't like to do Road Hog. But we called Will, his son, and Will got us in contact with Harold. And I asked Carol, I said, will you do this? He said, yeah, I'll come up to my living room, bring the recording equipment, and I'll do it. And we did. We came up to Stanton, and we put the recording equipment up in his living room. And he got on the end of that song, and I mean, he nailed one of the big, long, talking, funny parts. And then on the end of the song, when the banjo breaks, the band ends, you hear Harold snort a little bit. He goes, all right, just like the old Road Hog did, you know. So it was a hit to people who love Road Hog to see Road Hog on a CD again. Really great.
They would ask him, you know, Harold, because they always wanted him to do Road Hog. And he'd say, well, I'm not going to do Road Hogs. But he said, Road Hogs are coming from an autopsy.
Recovering.
I think that's probably one of the most brilliant things I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's funny.
I tell you, Jamie and Darren and Jeannie and Jimmy, and this has just been such a fun wonderful afternoon. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you want to share with our country music cruisers before we wrap up?
Oh, Lord.
I think you should ask Seely about the tap dance number she's going to do after the show at the piano bar. That's what I'm looking for.
The one on the piano. I mean,
Yeah.
on the table or on the piano, and with the lampshade. And with the lampshade, is that the one? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that.
Oh yeah, that right there is reason to book it. If you haven't,
There are so many reasons to book this cruise. It's like I said, we're all going to be so glad to get back together. I'm like Jimmy. I think we're all coming out of this with a whole different outlook and appreciation of each other and what we're so blessed to be able to do. And we love our fans. I mean, we miss them. I was talking to somebody the other night about that and how much we miss the fans. So
Yes, we do.
To it.
I just want to add that this is one of the only cruises, the only cruise that you can go and actually be a part of the Grand Ole Opry at sea. And it's really neat to be a part of that as well.
mm-hmm. That is always one of the best moments. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Gina Keltner and Dan Rogers, you know, just bring that to life for people out. Aren't they the best, Gina?
Yeah, they are the best. I was thrilled to be able to host that. And one of the things the guys were talking about, the Oak Ridge Boys, I was just so thrilled to get to introduce the Oak Ridge Boys. You know, I mean, I'd never introduced the Oaks before, so that's real. Almost as thrilling as it was introducing Dailey and Vincent.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
This ship is getting ready to sail, boys.
Well, our history goes a long
away.
ways with Miss Jeannie. She introduced us our very first time to start our career off in 2007, December 29th. And also inducted us with the Oak Crow Medicine Show on March 11th of 2017.
And that's my birthday.
Special.
Yep.
Wow.
And I loved every minute of it. I'm so proud to have you as my little brothers.
Thank you. We loved it.
I go back with Jeannie a long ways too, because I had to take care of her on the road when she got sick.
Yeah,
So.
that was what was so funny is because Nina called me and said, will you look after Jimmy because he gets lost going through airport? I said, oh yeah, I'll look after him. So then I got sick and he had to take care of me. But I remember when we were coming home, as sick as I was, all I could think of was just get from point A to point B. And I walk fast normally. We got to the gate and sat down and Jimmy said, I'd hate to have to try to keep up with you when you're well.
That's the truth. That's the truth. I think it was food. It was turned out to be like food poisoning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
It was food poisoning, but we were at that casino and it was like they wouldn't help me if I'd have said anything about food poisoning. So I had to lie and say it's a stomach virus. They were good to me. They called the EMTs and took me to the hospital.
Wow.
Well,
They said, they came in hours later and said, okay, Miss Seely, you're free, you're okay, you can go. And I said, I have nowhere way to go anywhere. I was over an hour away from the casino. I didn't even have my shoes. They put me on a stretcher and took.
Wow.
So I said, I don't know what to do other than call the casino and see if they'll send a van for me. So they did. So I rode an hour in the, ambulance, and then rode an hour back in the van.
that was a helpless feeling because you're out there in the middle of nowhere anyway. And to be like that, you know, it's a really helpless feeling, you know. But you're a trooper, girl. I tell you what, you're tough.
See what happens, Seely, when you hang out with a tenor singer like Jimmy. That stuff happens. You hang out with Darren and I, and it's the fun stuff that happens. You see?
Yeah, it actually kind of burned me a little for tenor singers. I've been trying to hang out a little more with Trace Adkins. I love you guys. This is going to be so fun.
Love y'all. Thanks
Thank
so
you,
much,
Deb.
each of you, for doing this. Stay safe.
Thank you, Deborah, for
Love
inviting me.
y'all.
Bye.